Introdurrà un tema molto particolare. La logistica poi ha diversi approfondimenti disciplinari e il tema è quello che distingue soprattutto l'ultimo periodo del lavoro del Saragossa Logistics Center. Al Saragossa Logistics Center, grazie appunto al sostegno anche del professor Kreiselburg, si è creato, e lui è il cofondatore, il cosiddetto Global Health Supply Chain Consortium, di cui anche io faccio parte. Si tratta di un team di ricercatori, vi assicuro, di prestigio mondiale, il cui scopo è sostenere dal punto di vista scientifico le attività logistiche e di supply chain management relative appunto alla logistica che potremmo tradurre umanitaria, più specificamente del farmaco e della distribuzione del farmaco nei paesi in via di sviluppo. Il professor Kreiselburg ci darà un approfondimento su questo ultimo tema proprio perché noi riteniamo che una scienza nata nel contesto militare oggi serva prevalentemente per dare un grosso contributo alla pace e allo sviluppo e al benessere della popolazione mondiale. Io ho piacere di presentarvi il professor Kreiselburg. E ve lo lascio.
Buongiorno bergamaschi. Buongiorno bergamaschi. Io sono argentino, come tutti gli argentini sono un po' italiano, ma non può parlare questa bellissima lingua molto bene, sì che io capisco ma non parlo bene, parlerò in inglese. I'm very sorry, I'm going to ruin this beautiful presentation by speaking in English. But before going into what I'm going to talk about, there's a lot of young people here, and I want to tell you, first of all, I confess, I like mathematics, of course. I'm sorry, nobody's perfect. But I have to tell you that it doesn't have to be boring. I will repeat this, it does not have to be boring. And for me, logistics, I'll tell you a story how I got into logistics. Actually, I have to thank a very special Bergamasco. His name is Andrea Viterbi, and you'll see why. I was an electronic engineer in Argentina, and I wanted to see the world. I was a rugby player, see, engineer and rugby player. I didn't know anything about logistics, and I ended up in California. Why did I go to California? Well, the sun shines there. There's a lot of beaches. Why not? So I went to California, to the University of Southern California. I was having fun, playing rugby, doing an MBA, Master in Business Administration. Why? I don't know. MBA sounded cool. It looked like I could make a lot of money and see the world. Why not? And one day, this professor, his name is Rajagopalan, Indian professor, started talking about operations management. I was trying to have fun. What is this operations management thing? So what he was trying to explain was that operations management was a way the engineers would see how to run a business. And then I forgot, wait a minute, I am an engineer. See, I was having fun. I forgot that in my previous life I was an engineer. I really paid attention to Mr. Rajagopalan. And he convinced me to go to the School of Engineering. I went back to engineering, to the Industrial Engineering Department at the University of Southern California. Do you know the name of the Industrial Engineering School at the University of Southern California? There you go. It's the Viterbi School of Engineering. Mr. Viterbi is the most revered person in the School of Engineering in Southern California. So there's my Bergamo connection. And in the School of Engineering, one day, one professor, he was quiet. He just entered the room and wrote in the blackboard, very, very big, logistica. Well, he said it in English, so it was logistics. This man is crazy. He hasn't even begun talking. What is this logistics thing? Before you know it, he infected me. And that's what I do for a living. So thank you, Mr. Andrea Viterbi, and thank you, Bergamo, for having given me my life, essentially. Now here we are. I didn't go back to school immediately, though. I did learn another thing that I admire from a city and a region that, if I understand correctly, was also part of the kingdom of Bergamo in ancient times, let's say in the Renaissance. I believed in going back to the human being, and I am a humanist. So I wanted to see the world. I worked for many, many years, but I promised myself that I would go back to science. And one day, when I was living in a beautiful island, private island, it was not my island, but I was in a bank and the bank paid for everything. I was living like a modern king. We don't have kings anymore in the other side of the Atlantic, but if you are a vice president of a very important bank, you are the closest you have to the modern king. And I was reading a magazine, and the magazine said, it was a half-a-page ad, advertising. The magazine said, put a name, John Doe. John Doe is like any name, comma, VP, which is vice president, which is what I was. And then he had another name, John Doe, comma, PhD, which is doctor. And down after that, there was a sentence that said, one of those 2 degrees they can never take away from you. See, you may believe you're a king because you're a vice president today, but today you are, tomorrow you're not. If you're a doctor, you earned it. And that reminded me that I had promised myself that I had to go back to science. And that's how I ended up in Harvard. I will tell you another story, and then I promise I'll go into logistics. It's just that for me, for young people, the story matters. How your life ends up going is very important. The detail, in Spanish we have this say that essentially God is in the details. The Americans use another expression. They say the devil is in the details. So either God or the devil, but there's something about details. Details matter because those details end up making you who you are. In my case, why I'm here, well, one day I got a very mysterious email from Professore Enzo Baglieri and Professore Alberto Grande from Milano. And I didn't know what is it that they wanted. Really, I didn't really understand. I didn't have time to really study what was their idea. I essentially went. And there he was, Mr. Baglieri, waiting for me at the airport. And he took me personally to have dinner with Professore Grande, who was the Dean of SDA Bocconi. And I met an incredible group of people with an incredible vision about what Italy can be, what Bergamo can do. And they told me about the Fondazione Italcementi. To be honest, I did have no idea what the Fondazione Italcementi was. But these people showed me that they believed not in today, but in what Italy can do tomorrow. And that Fondazione Italcementi was ready to think for the long term. I could not believe my ears. Because usually, business, I came from business. It's all about today, today, today. And they said, no. This PhD program is to form what we want to do 10 years from now. You're very young. You may not have seen this movie. It's Humphrey Bogart and Ingrid Bergman. It's called Casablanca. But the last phrase of the movie is, this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship. And I have to think that this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship. I'm honored to have joined this group and to do my best to help. And I think this is more important than anything else I'm going to talk about. The stories matter, that you as a person can make a change, that you can also change your mind. It's okay if you today want to make a lot of money, but at some point, come back to the human aspect and try to help your community, your country, your region, and humankind. That is more important than anything else. So I do mathematics, but I'm not going to give you a lot of mathematics. I'm just going to give you an application and a story behind it and what to do with mathematics. At MIT, it's perhaps the best engineering school on earth, but we don't have to brag about that. I think engineering only helps if it can help humankind. Else it's just yet another toy. So that's what my talk is going to be about. And the first part of this presentation, actually occurred to me when I was visiting Firenze. I was going from Firenze to Pisa, and Pisa, it was a terrible traffic day. So you see, I had the following thought. I always wonder, my grandma used to ask me, really, do you think we're better off with televisions and all of these things you guys, you kids play with? I was happier in a simple life. Why do we need science, really? And I could never really answer properly. It took me a long time to be able to answer my nonna about, why we needed science. Well, perhaps we can pick